Everybody, let's talk about Battle Cats and why you should get it. I am not sponsored by Ponos, just so you know. So, who are you in this game? Let's start with that. Basically, you're a commander of an army. An army of what, you ask? Cats. Obviously, you're controlling cats. It's called Battle Cats. And basically, your character is never seen, at least by you. And essentially, you're just controlling them, like controlling your army from your base. So, if you see on this picture, your base is on the right, and the enemy's on the left. And you want to send your army and crush whoever's on the left. This is just Korea in this example. And basically, the only interaction that you have is with the narrator and the game itself. And what I mean by that is the narrator basically talks to you a little bit at the beginning or like end of chapters just to give you information, and that's about it. And you just spawn the cats. Yep. So what do? You basically conquer the world. Yep, and you slay the heretics. So by the heretics, I mean like literally every other animal. Like cats are the only thing surviving in this world. So basically, you go around the world as you can see on this map. All those points are the places you've traveled to so far, and you're only gonna get farther as you progress. And basically, enemies do get progressively tougher. It's one of those games. And eventually you actually go to the moon. That's gonna be the last stage of a lot of the chapters. So, and after you burn everything down there and kill everything, you unlock a lot more. Basically, you after everything I just told you about was Empire of Cats Chapter 1. There's 3 chapters of Empires of Cats, so after you beat 1, you unlock Chapter 2. And after that, we also have Into the Future, which is also unlocked after Chapter 1. And it's basically, Into the Chapter is basically everything in Empire of Cats except all the enemies are a lot tougher, and a lot of the enemies are aliens, and I'll go more into that later. And the world building is actually pretty interesting, since like a few interesting examples, like Japan is underwater now. And like there's also the Great Abyss, which has appeared in the ocean. Next we have the Cat Claw Dojo. So what this is basically you can test your abilities here essentially, but what most people probably actually do here is compete in global like rankings. So if you rank a certain rank in global rankings, so if you achieve a certain percentage, you actually get an award, and by like the end of the event, and that happens time to time. And there's also this thing that costs 0 energy. You can just try to do whenever you want, and you can just see how far you get and see how strong you've gotten. And next we have Cats of the Cosmos. So this is actually pretty late. So this is like after Into the Future chapter 1. So, and by the way, Into the Future and Cats of the Cosmos both have 3 chapters as well. So there's a lot of content in this game. And there's also basically Cats of the Cosmos. You go into space. You literally like conquer the universe. Yep. And we have legend stages. So legend stages are like special event stages, to like get special units, get XP, get cat fruit to evolve your units, to like it's basically a bunch of event stages that you have limited time to do. But it comes back later, so it's not like one time thing, but like usually it's by day or by like the time of day. You have different stages that you can do to progress or get stronger differently, or get new units from. So why do I like this game, and why should you want to play this game? Well, first of all, I really like the difficulty of the game. So basically, there's a thing called power creep, and I'm sure a lot of you know what power creep is, but power creep is basically when, as you progress in the game, everything gets stronger, and you get stronger alongside them. So this power creep, I feel like it's not too difficult, but it's also difficult enough for you to like actually plan what you're gonna do and like put thought into it. It's not like some brainless game where you just spam your cat units, and that, I'll be honest, that's like pretty much what you do in the early stages, but you get out of the early game stage pretty fast. So eventually, like you're gonna have to like involve strategy pretty soon. So basically, it does this thing where bosses become the common enemies later. That's happened in a lot of other games like this, but I really like that in this game at least because um, it's like it really shows you how much stronger you've gotten. It's like you can't beat a boss and you come back and you beat it, and then like a 10 stages later is suddenly a normal enemy, and you can beat it super easily now, which is like really, it makes you feel accomplished, I guess. And then going back to strategy, you also have to account for enemy traits, and I'm gonna go in more detail about that right now. So remember when I said like how Into the Future has aliens? Well, yeah, so aliens is like, being an alien is one of the traits that the enemies could have. There are a ton of different traits in this game. Like there's angels, there's red enemies, there's Aku enemies who have shields, there's like floating enemies, and there's also like black enemies as well. So basically, uh, all the different traits have a different, basically, uh, they all have like a different gimmick to them. So in Into the Future, the aliens aren't that like special, I guess, but they do have like a lot. They do more damage and are usually more tougher than traitless enemies, which are like normal enemies that you face in the Empire of Cats chapters. And basically, to account for enemy traits, you can have like specialized units that you use. So what I mean by that is like there's a unit called Swimmer Cat, and he does massive damage to floating enemies specifically. So in a stage with a ton of floating enemies, you obviously want to use him. So yeah, like there's also a bunch of other things like it's not only just the traits actually, because you also have to counter special abilities of the enemies. Like some enemies have this thing called like a wave attack or a surge attack that like spawns a wave, and it just goes through your entire army and just destroys everything. There's certain units that are immune to that, and there's actually certain units that block that, so they protect the rest of your army. And in the harder stages, that's really important. Or else, like, it's basically you need that in order to win. So it does involve strategy a lot. And there's also cat combos, which is basically, I'm not sure when you unlock this, but I'm pretty sure it's like after one of the Empire of Cats. No, I think it's Into the Future Chapter 1. You get cat combos. So basically, if you have certain cats in your team, like in a battle, you get like specific power ups for that battle. So for example, if you have all of the basic, I'm not sure if this is I think it was only like 5 of the basic units. I think it was like the first 5 of the basic cats. If you have all of them in your team in the middle of a battle, I think you get like a worker cat level up at the start, which is it's like one of the weaker power ups, but it could be helpful if you really want to use it. And there's a bunch of other cat combos with a bunch of different cats, and you basically progressively unlock them as you get more cats. So this isn't something that you have to like actively worry about. It's just something that you could have access to later when you have the ability to like really put your thought into your unit like formatting. And basically, there's also, it forces you to get stronger. That's how difficult it is, and I'll go more into that later, which is right now. So basically, there's many different ways to power up. So one way is like, it is a gacha game, so you have to like pull units from capsules, and basically, usually, when you pull from a rare capsule, you can get a rare, a super rare, an uber super rare, or a legend rare unit, and it gets more and more rare progressively. So I'm pretty sure like a uber rare is usually like a 5% chance, but there are events where it doubled, and that's usually when you want to like spam it. and there's also legend rares, which are insanely rare but OP as hell. So basically, if you get one, they just carry you through the entire like early game, basically. And well, not just early game, but they carry you through a lot of stages depending on what trait they specialize against. And there are super rare. They're like a 0.5% chance, so I wouldn't bet on it. And basically, this isn't really the only way to power up. There's many other ways. So you can go treasure hunting, you can farm XP, you can like get cat food to evolve your units later, and you can also like just basically well, I guess that's it. So I really like how versatile it is. Like you can do anything you want to power up, and like there's not one way to power up. So another thing about this game is it has many cool units, and as you can see, these are basically the basic cats that you get at the very beginning of the game, and there's like a ton of units in this game. There's like hundreds. So these are like a tiny fraction of what's to come, and these aren't even the evolved forms, because like when you level things up to certain forms, they actually change appearances and might have different abilities as well. So yeah, there's a lot to see, and I've actually like defined them into 4 different categories that I thought that they would be in. Like let me just show you. First of all, we have the cute cats, and this usually these are like the axe cat, which you get at the beginning of the game, ninja cat, which is also pretty early, and little tank cat, which is like an event thing you can get. Pretty cute. Next we have the buff cats. So basically, beefcake cat, macho leg cat, and the cat god. And yes, you can have cat god in your team. Not this cat god, there's another variant of cat god that you can have in your team fighting for you, but this cat god is technically like also on your team, since you can give him cat food and he performs special abilities for you. Next we have the anime characters. Yep, we have Mitama the Oracle, one of the this is one of the most this is one of the favorite units in the like everybody loves Mitama the Oracle because she's one of the strongest ones. And we have Catman as well. Like yeah, it's Batman but Catman. And then we have Hatsune Miku, and this is probably surprising for a lot of people, but apparently Battle Cats is very huge in Japan, so they've had a lot of collabs with a bunch of different animes, and also Hatsune Miku. So Hatsune Miku at some point is an event, and you can actually have her on your team. And regarding to other collabs, there's also Fate Grand Order, like the anime, which is why this background exists. And there's also Evangelion, there's Street Fighters, there's also Madoka. So yeah. Next we have the cursed ones. If you look on the bottom left, we have the cat base, and we have the common enemy next to it. And this is just a size comparison, but first we have Neko Luga. Yep, pretty huge. We have Kubi Luga, and we have Bala Luga. So these guys are like the cursed ones. So they're super huge in game. Like you have to zoom out to see them fully on the battlegrounds. And they're actually all from the same like uber rare event. So you can get them if you were lucky pretty early. Another thing I really like is the fun descriptions. Like, first of all, we have eraser cats, and like can't take a beating thanks to elasticity, really good defense. Yep, and strong enough to move 2 small rocks. Like, every single unit in this game has a description, and some of these descriptions are pretty funny or pretty interesting to read, honestly. And it's not just the units; it's also the enemies. So there's a ton of different descriptions in this game, and they actually have even more descriptions when you level them up and they change forms. So yeah, it's pretty good attention to detail. And we also have, this is one of my favorite descriptions, so let me just read it. First, we have Mercat, a mermaid who came on shore to meet a prince, survives on land by taking long breaths. Strong versus floating, might survive a lethal strike. And then when you level her up, she becomes Commando Cat. Hearing her prince got kidnapped by terrorists, Mercat joined the Green Berets to save him. And then if you level him up again to his true form, you have Cameraman Cat, putting her life on the line to tell the truth of the Great Cat War. Journalistic integrity causes huge damage. Area damage against floating, might survive once. So, this is a good example of how interesting these stories can get. They can be pretty like unhinged at sometimes, honestly. Like also this one, Medalist Cat. Somehow this cat qualified for the tournament. Somehow she won gold. An investigation is underway. Long range area attacks. These are just some of my favorites. Alright, now that I'm done talking about the units you can have on your team, let's talk about the enemies. So, first of all, like there's a bunch of different types of enemies, and one of them is just like a floating head. It's like there's a bunch, like this is just a traitless floating head, but there's also like red floating heads. There's like a bunch of other floating heads, but I just find this very interesting. You're just like battling other animals. Suddenly, a floating human head comes out of the other base. Like, I find that to be pretty interesting, at least when I first found this guy. Next, we have Gorilla Miku. Like, do I need to say more? It's Gorilla Miku. And next, Zombie Cyclone. This is probably like one of the scarier designs in the game. There's not that much like actual scary design in this game, so this is like one of the scary ones, I guess. And this guy is actually a pretty menacing in the game. He's like one of the harder enemies. So you may be thinking, oh my god, it's a mobile game. It cannot be that good. I'm not playing a mobile game. And guess what? In this mobile game, you will not have ads unless you want them. So there are ads that will help you, you can watch them if you want, and they will help, but you don't need to watch them, and you don't need to watch them in order to have fun. So there's a lot of different mobile games that just force you to watch ads after every level, or just force you to watch ads if you want to get stronger. That doesn't happen here, and this game is only pay to win if you want it to be. So you can pay to get better units, or get cat food, or just get everything that you want to get stronger. But here's the thing, you don't have to do that to get stronger. And also, I feel like it's actually more fun if you don't do that. So it just all comes down to what you want to do to have fun. So just know that you have a choice in this matter, unlike in a lot of other mobile games. So I'm done talking about the good points. Let's talk about the flaws. Alright, first of all, it can get really repetitive. So in order to get stronger, there's a thing called treasure grinding, and essentially you basically just go back and redo every stage that you've already done, in order to get these things called treasures. So basically each location, when you beat it, there's a chance of you getting a inferior, normal, or superior treasure. And once you have enough of those treasures from different places, you unlock permanent buffs. And it's really helpful. It's almost essential if you want to beat the game. But it's really repetitive, since you are literally playing everything you've already done over and over again. And they do have kind of accounting for that, which is Treasure Fest. And basically it's a certain period of time where you have higher chances of getting better treasures in different chapters. But even with this, it's still pretty monotonous. You still have to go through every single stage you've done before, and sometimes the luck just screws you over. You have to do a stage 5 times in order to get a superior treasure. Yeah. And which brings me to the next point of identical levels. This is especially a problem in the early stages. like especially in the first 3 Empire of the Cats chapters. Basically, all of the stages are the same, except the enemies are like higher level, and there might be new bosses. That's it. So there's not much. There's not like it's not. It doesn't. There's not much of varying enemies or things like that. But that it does get fixed later when you get to like later in the game. But that is a pretty big problem in early game. And next we have just farming in general. Like farming could get really repetitive. One of the things you have to farm a lot for is XP, and eventually like you have to like find these XP stages in the legend stages, and you have to like really you have to play those levels over and over again just to get enough XP to level up your units. Eventually, your units are like so expensive to level up that you need like a ton of XP, like actual millions of XP to level them up, and that could take a really long time to grind, and some people could find that really boring. I personally don't really mind all this grinding stuff or the repetitiveness, but like I'm also the type who really likes to like redo stuff and see myself get stronger, and I know that a lot of people don't like to do that. So, uh, yeah, this could be a bad thing. And another thing is the limited energy in this game. So, when you attempt a battle, you have to use your energy. And initially, you only start with like 100, which really isn't a lot. Like, um, initially in the Empire of Cats Chapter 1, the really early stages only take like 5 energy per level, but like later on it turns into like at least like 20 per level, and there's also like some stages that take like 50 or 70 later on, and you can increase your energy by upgrading, like, but as you upgrade it more and more, you progress more and more, the energy ramp increases by like a pretty bad amount. Like there's a stage, there's like a literally a stage called I think it was Steel Visage. Yeah, facing danger, Steel Visage. So it takes 400 energy for one attempt, and that's a lot of energy, and it also like the energy also takes a while to recharge. So like as you can see, just like 200 just to recharge 200 energy, it takes like 2 hours, and the person up there probably was pretty high level. So yeah, well, that's it for my battle cap.